Maria Santos pushed her cleaning cart down the long hallway of Whitmore Academy of Music. Her worn shoes made soft sounds on the shiny floor. It was 6 in the evening, and all the rich students had gone home to their big houses. The building was quiet now, just the way Maria liked it. She had been cleaning this fancy music school for 3 years. Every day was the same. She would arrive at 5:30, put on her blue uniform, and start her work. She cleaned classrooms, bathrooms, and offices, but her favorite place was the concert hall with its beautiful grand piano. Maria was 42 years old. Her black hair was always pulled back in a simple ponytail. Her hands were rough from years of cleaning, but her eyes held something special. When she looked at the piano, they would light up in a way that nobody ever noticed. The students at Whitmore Academy were different from Maria. They wore expensive clothes and carried designer bags. Their parents drove fancy cars and lived in mansions. They talked about vacations to Europe and summer homes by the ocean. Maria understood their world, but she was not part of it. To them, she was invisible, just the cleaning lady, she heard them say sometimes. They never looked at her when they spoke. They acted like she was not even there. Maria did not mind. She had learned long ago that being invisible could be a gift. Tonight, Maria entered the concert hall. The room was huge with high ceilings and beautiful lights. Red velvet seats faced a stage where the grand piano sat like a sleeping giant. Maria loved this piano. It was black and shiny, bigger than any piano she had ever seen. The keys were white and perfect, like teeth in a smile. Maria began her cleaning routine. She wiped down the seats one by one. She swept the floor carefully. She dusted the lights and cleaned the windows. But she always saved the piano for last. It was her special time. She walked up to the piano slowly. Her heart always beat faster when she got close to it. The piano was beautiful, but there were strict rules about it. Only students and teachers could touch it. The sign near the piano said so in big letters. Maria could lose her job if anyone saw her playing it, but Maria had a secret. When everyone was gone and the building was empty, she would run her fingers over the keys. She never pressed them hard enough to make sound. She just touched them gently, like she was saying hello to an old friend. Tonight was different. Maria looked around the empty hall. She listened carefully for any sounds. The building was completely quiet. Even the security guard was on the other side of the school. Maria's heart pounded as she made a decision. She lifted the cover of the piano keys. They gleamed in the soft light. Maria sat down on the bench. It felt strange to sit there like she was breaking an important rule. She placed her hands above the keys but did not touch them yet. Maria closed her eyes and remembered. She remembered being a little girl with dreams bigger than her small apartment. She remembered hours of practice on an old broken piano. She remembered the feeling of music flowing through her fingers like magic. Her son Carlos was at home now, probably doing his homework. He was 15 years old and very smart, but Carlos had been born with a problem that made it hard for him to walk. He needed special medicine and doctor visits that cost a lot of money. This cleaning job paid for everything Carlos needed. Maria could not lose it. But tonight, just for a moment, Maria wanted to remember who she used to be. She pressed one key very softly. The note floated through the air like a bird. It was beautiful and sad at the same time. Maria pressed another key, then another. Soon she was playing a simple song from memory. The music filled the empty hall. Maria felt tears come to her eyes. She had not played piano in almost 20 years. Her fingers remembered what to do, like riding a bicycle. The song was soft and gentle, like a lullaby. Maria played for 10 minutes. She played songs she had learned as a child. She played songs her mother used to sing. She played with her eyes closed, letting the music take her to another place. For those 10 minutes, she was not just a cleaning lady. She was a musician again. When she finished, Maria sat quietly for a moment. The silence felt different now, like the piano was listening. She looked at her hands on the keys. They were still rough from cleaning, but they remembered how to make beautiful music. Maria heard a sound in the hallway. Her heart jumped. Someone was coming. She quickly closed the piano cover and grabbed her cleaning cloth. She pretended to polish the piano bench as footsteps came closer. It was just the security guard making his rounds. He looked into the hall and saw Maria working. He nodded and walked away. Maria let out a long breath. She had not been caught. As Maria finished cleaning the concert hall, she thought about her life. During the day, she was invisible. She cleaned and worked hard so Carlos could have everything he needed. But at night, in the quiet moments with the piano, she could remember her dreams. Maria's mother had always told her that music was in her blood. "You have a gift," her mother would say. "Never forget that." Maria had not forgotten. She carried the music inside her like a secret treasure. The next morning would bring another day of cleaning. There would be more rich students who did not see her. There would be more bathrooms to scrub and floors to mop. But Maria knew that when evening came, she would return to the concert hall. She would return to the piano that held her dreams. Maria finished her work and pushed her cart toward the exit. She turned off the lights in the concert hall, but she left her heart there with the piano. Tomorrow night she would come back. She would play again in the darkness, keeping her secret safe. As she walked home to Carlos, Maria hummed softly. The music was always with her, waiting for the right moment to come alive. She did not know that very soon everything would change. She did not know that her secret would not stay hidden much longer. For now, Maria was content to be two people. During the day, she was the invisible cleaning lady. At night, she was the musician she had always been meant to be. 3 weeks later, Whitmore Academy was getting ready for its biggest night of the year. The annual fundraising gala brought together the richest families in the city. They came to donate money to the school and show off their wealth. The concert hall was decorated with flowers and fancy lights. Maria arrived at work that morning knowing it would be a long day. The gala meant extra cleaning and preparation. She worked hard all day, making sure every surface sparkled. The kitchen staff prepared expensive food. Waiters in white uniforms practiced serving drinks. Everyone was busy getting ready for the important guests. By evening, Maria was tired but not finished. She still had to clean the concert hall one more time before the guests arrived. As she worked, she could hear cars pulling up outside. Expensive cars with drivers in uniform. The guests were starting to arrive. Maria tried to finish quickly. She wanted to be done before the party started. But as she was cleaning near the piano, the first guests entered the hall. They were dressed in beautiful gowns and expensive suits. The women wore jewelry that sparkled like stars. The men wore watches that cost more than Maria made in a year. Maria kept her head down and continued cleaning. She hoped they would not notice her. Usually, rich people looked right through her like she was not there. But tonight was different. "Look at that," said a loud voice. "The cleaning lady is still here." Maria looked up to see a group of 5 people watching her. They were holding glasses of champagne and laughing. The man who spoke was wearing a suit that probably cost thousands of dollars. His wife had on a dress that looked like it came from a magazine. "Excuse me," Maria said quietly. "I will be finished soon." No, said the man, waving his hand. "Do not rush. We are curious about you." The woman next to him giggled. "Harold, leave the poor woman alone." But Harold was not listening. He had been drinking champagne and felt bold. "I have an idea," he announced to his friends. "Let's have some entertainment." Maria felt her stomach drop. She did not like the way they were looking at her. She tried to move away, but more guests had gathered around. They formed a circle, blocking her path to the exit. "What kind of entertainment?" asked another man with a red face and a big belly. Harold pointed at the piano. "Our cleaning lady here should play us a song. What do you think? A little music from The Help?" The group laughed loudly. Maria felt her face grow hot with embarrassment. "I am sorry, sir," she said. "I do not play piano. I just clean." "Oh, come on," said Harold. "Everyone can play a little something." "Chopsticks, maybe? Mary Had a Little Lamb?" More people gathered around to see what was happening. Soon there were 20 people watching. Some looked uncomfortable, but they did not speak up. Others smiled and waited for the show. "Please," Maria said, her voice shaking. "I need to finish my work." But Harold was enjoying the attention. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced loudly, "tonight we have special entertainment. Our cleaning lady is going to play piano for us." "Harold, this is not appropriate," said a woman with gray hair, but her voice was quiet and Harold ignored her. "Sit down," Harold commanded, pointing at the piano bench. "Play us something nice." Maria looked around the circle of faces. Some people looked excited. Others looked embarrassed but said nothing. A few were taking out their phones to record. Maria realized she was trapped. "I really cannot play," she said again, but her voice was so quiet that few people heard her. "Nonsense," said Harold. He grabbed Maria's arm and pulled her toward the piano. "Everyone can play something." Maria felt panic rising in her chest. She thought about Carlos at home waiting for her. She thought about the medicine he needed and the bills she had to pay. She could not lose this job. She had to do what they wanted. With shaking hands, Maria sat down at the piano bench. The crowd pressed closer. She could hear people whispering and laughing. Someone said, "This should be funny." Maria stared at the keys. They looked different now, not like the friends she visited at night. They looked cold and scary. Her hands trembled as she placed them above the keys. "Come on," Harold said impatiently. "We do not have all night." Someone in the crowd shouted, "Play Happy Birthday." Another person laughed and said, "She probably does not even know how to read music." Maria felt tears starting in her eyes. She had never felt so small and helpless. These people were making fun of her because she was poor, because she cleaned their toilets and swept their floors. They thought she was stupid and worthless. But as Maria sat there, something changed inside her. She remembered her mother's words, "You have a gift. Never forget that." She thought about all the nights she had played this same piano in secret. She thought about the music that lived in her heart. Maria took a deep breath. She wiped her eyes and looked at the keys again. Maybe it was time to stop hiding. Maybe it was time to show them who she really was. The crowd was getting louder. People were making jokes and taking pictures. Harold was telling everyone how funny this was going to be. Nobody expected anything good to happen. Maria placed her fingers on the keys. Her hand stopped shaking. For a moment, she forgot about the crowd. She forgot about the embarrassment and fear. She thought only about the music, and then something magical happened. Maria pressed the first notes of Chopin's Ballade No. 1 in G minor. The sound that came from the piano was not the fumbling of a scared cleaning lady. It was the voice of a true musician. The laughter stopped immediately. The talking stopped. Even the clinking of champagne glasses stopped. The only sound in the room was Maria's music, flowing like water, beautiful and perfect. Maria's fingers moved across the keys with incredible skill. Years of secret practice had made her hands strong and sure. The music was sad and beautiful, telling a story without words. It spoke of dreams lost and found, of pain and hope, of a heart that had never stopped singing. The crowd stood frozen. Their mouths hung open in shock. The woman with the gray hair had tears in her eyes. Even Harold looked stunned, his face red with embarrassment and confusion. Maria played for 3 minutes, but it felt like forever. When she finished, the silence was complete. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The last notes hung in the air like magic. Slowly, Maria stood up from the piano bench. She looked at the faces around her. They were not laughing anymore. They were staring at her like they had never seen her before. Like she was a different person entirely, and maybe she was. The silence in the concert hall felt heavy and strange. Maria stood beside the piano, her heart beating fast. She could not believe what she had just done. After 3 years of hiding, she had played in front of all these people. There was no going back now. The guests stared at her with wide eyes. Harold's mouth was still open in shock. His wife had put her hand over her heart. The man with the red face looked like he might cry. Nobody knew what to say. Maria felt scared. She had broken the most important rule. She was not supposed to touch the piano. Now everyone knew her secret. She would lose her job for sure. What would happen to Carlos? How would she pay for his medicine? But even as fear filled her mind, Maria felt something else. She felt free. For the first time in 20 years, she had played piano in front of people. Her fingers still tingled from touching the keys. The music was still singing in her heart. "My God," whispered the woman with gray hair. That was incredible. More people began to whisper. "Who is she? How did she learn to play like that? I have never heard anything so beautiful." Maria wanted to run away. She looked toward the exit, but there were too many people. She was trapped in the middle of the crowd. Everyone was looking at her, waiting for her to say something. I should go," Maria said quietly. "I need to finish my work." "Wait," said a voice from the back of the crowd. "Please wait." An older woman pushed through the group of people. She had short white hair and kind eyes behind glasses. Maria had seen her before in the hallways of the school. This was Dr. Elizabeth Chen, one of the most important piano teachers at Whitmore Academy. Dr. Chen walked up to Maria slowly, like she was approaching a scared animal. Her eyes were bright with tears. "What is your name?" she asked gently. "Maria Santos." Maria replied, her voice barely a whisper. "Maria," Dr. Chen repeated. That was Chopin's Ballad No. 1 in G minor. Do you know how difficult that piece is? Maria nodded. She knew it was one of the hardest pieces ever written for piano. She had learned it many years ago when she was young and full of dreams. Where did you learn to play like that? Dr. Chen asked. Maria looked at the floor. She did not want to talk about her past. It was too painful to remember. But Dr. Chen was waiting and everyone else was listening. I learned when I was little, Maria said finally. My mother taught me first. Then I had other teachers. Other teachers, Dr. Chen repeated. She was studying Maria's face carefully. You have had professional training. This is not something you learn by yourself. The crowd was getting bigger. More guests were coming into the hall to see what was happening. Someone had posted a video on social media, and it was already spreading. People were pointing at Maria and whispering. Harold finally found his voice. This is not what I expected, he said weakly. His face was red with embarrassment. He had wanted to make fun of Maria, but instead she had amazed everyone. You should be ashamed, said the woman with gray hair, turning to Harold. What you did was cruel. Harold looked around nervously. Other people were nodding and frowning at him. His joke had turned into something very different. He had made himself look bad instead of making Maria look foolish. Dr. Chen ignored the drama around them. She was focused only on Maria. Tell me more about your training, she said. Who were your teachers? Where did you study? Maria felt trapped again, but in a different way. These questions brought back memories she had tried to forget. She saw herself as a little girl, sitting at an old piano in her apartment. Her mother standing beside her, clapping when she played the right notes. My mother was my first teacher, Maria said. She worked as a maid for a rich family. They had a piano and she learned to play by watching their daughter's lessons. She taught me everything she knew. Dr. Chen nodded. And after that? I got a scholarship, Maria continued, the words coming slowly. To a music school in the city. I studied there for several years. Which school? Dr. Chen asked, but she seemed to already know the answer. Roosevelt Academy of Music, Maria said. But that was a long time ago. Dr. Chen's eyes grew wide. Roosevelt Academy, she repeated. I know that school very well. I taught there for 5 years about 20 years ago. Maria's heart jumped. She remembered Dr. Chen now. She had been younger then, with dark hair instead of white. But the kind eyes were the same. Dr. Chen, Maria whispered. You taught advanced piano classes? Yes, Dr. Chen said, her voice full of excitement. And you were one of my students, were you not? The crowd grew quiet again. Everyone could feel that something important was happening. This was not just about a cleaning lady who could play piano. This was about a mystery from the past. Maria felt tears coming to her eyes. I was Maria Santos Delacroix then, she said. You probably do not remember me. I was just one of many students. But Dr. Chen was shaking her head. Maria Santos Delacroix, she repeated slowly. Of course I remember you. You were one of the most talented students I ever taught. You played at the spring concert when you were 17. Chopin's Ballad No. 1, the same piece you just played. You remember, Maria said, crying now. I remember everything, Dr. Chen said. You were going to audition for Juilliard. You had already won several competitions. Everyone said you would be famous one day. But then, you disappeared. You stopped coming to classes. No one knew what happened to you. Maria wiped her eyes with her rough, cleaning lady hands. My mother got sick, she said. Cancer, I had to take care of her. Then she died and I had my son. There was no money for music school. I had to work. The concert hall was completely silent now. Even the waiters had stopped serving drinks. Everyone was listening to Maria's story. They understood now why her playing was so beautiful. They understood why she had been cleaning their school in secret. All these years, Dr. Chen said softly, you have been here all along cleaning our school, playing our piano at night when no one was watching. Maria nodded. I could not help myself. The music, it never went away. Dr. Chen reached out and took Maria's hands. They were rough and worn from years of cleaning, but they had just created something magical. These hands, she said, they remember everything. Harold and his friends had quietly moved away from the piano. They looked embarrassed and uncomfortable. Their cruel joke had revealed something beautiful and sad. They had not expected to see a person's whole life story in a few minutes of music. But other people were moving closer. Musicians and music lovers who understood what they had just heard. They knew that Maria was not just a good piano player. She was an artist who had been hiding her light under a bushel for 20 years. "What happens now?" someone asked. Maria looked around at all the faces watching her. She thought about Carlos waiting at home. She thought about her job and her bills and her simple life. Everything had changed in just a few minutes. She did not know if it was good or bad. Dr. Chen squeezed her hands gently. "Now," she said, "we talk." The next morning, Maria sat in Dr. Chen's office, feeling like she was in a dream. The office was small but cozy, with music books everywhere and pictures of famous pianists on the walls. A window looked out over the school courtyard where students walked to their classes. Dr. Chen poured hot tea into 2 cups. "Tell me everything," she said gently. "Start from the beginning." Maria held her teacup with both hands, feeling the warmth. She had not talked about her past in many years. It felt strange but also good, like opening a door that had been locked for a long time. "I was born in a small apartment downtown," Maria began. "My mother, Rosa, worked for the Whitman family. They lived in a big house with a beautiful piano in their living room." Dr. Chen nodded and listened carefully. "The Whitmans had a daughter named Jennifer who took piano lessons," Maria continued. "My mother would clean the house while Jennifer practiced. She would listen to every lesson and watch the teacher's hands." Maria smiled, remembering. "My mother was very smart. She learned the songs just by listening. At night, when the family was asleep, she would sneak into the living room and practice on their piano." "That must have been risky," Dr. Chen said. "Very risky. If they had caught her, she would have lost her job." But music was in her heart. She could not help herself. Maria paused to sip her tea. "After a few months, my mother could play better than Jennifer." Dr. Chen laughed softly. "I can imagine. When I was 5 years old, my mother brought me to work with her one day. She had no one to watch me. While she cleaned, I sat quietly in the corner. But when Jennifer started her piano lesson, I could not help but watch." Maria's eyes grew bright as she remembered. The teacher was showing Jennifer how to play scales. "I watched her fingers and listened to the sounds. After the lesson, when everyone was gone, my mother let me touch the piano keys." "And you could play?" Dr. Chen said. "Right away," Maria nodded. "My mother was shocked. I played the scale perfectly, just from watching Jennifer's lesson. My mother said it was like magic." Maria stood up and walked to the window. Students were hurrying to their classes, carrying violin cases and music books. They looked so young and hopeful. "That night, my mother made a decision," Maria continued. "She started bringing me to work with her twice a week. While she cleaned, I would have secret piano lessons. My mother taught me everything she had learned from listening to Jennifer's teacher." "Your mother was a brave woman," Dr. Chen said. "She was everything to me," Maria said softly. "She worked so hard to give me chances she never had. After 6 months, I could play better than Jennifer. After a year, I could play pieces that Jennifer's teacher said were too hard for her." Maria returned to her chair. The memories were coming fast now, like water through a broken dam. "When I was 8, something wonderful happened. The Whitmans were having a big party. Important people from the city were coming. Jennifer was supposed to play piano for the guests, but she got sick." Dr. Chen raised her eyebrows. "What did your mother do?" "She told Mrs. Whitman that I could play instead." Mrs. Whitman laughed at first. How could a maid's daughter play piano? But my mother insisted. She said I was very good. Maria smiled at the memory. Mrs. Whitman finally agreed to listen to me play. I was so scared. I had never played for anyone except my mother. But I sat at that beautiful piano and played Für Elise by Beethoven. How did they react? Mrs. Whitman cried, Maria said. She could not believe what she was hearing. She called her husband and Jennifer's piano teacher. They all listened to me play. By the end of the night, they had decided to pay for my real piano lessons. Dr. Chen clapped her hands together. That is wonderful. It was like a fairy tale, Maria agreed. The Whitmans found me the best piano teacher in the city. Professor Williams was old and strict, but he saw something special in me. He said I had a gift that comes along once in a lifetime. Maria's face grew sad as she continued her story. For the next 9 years, I studied with Professor Williams. I practiced 4 hours every day after school. I won competitions. I played in concerts. Everyone said I would be famous one day. And then you came to Roosevelt Academy, Dr. Chen said. Yes, Professor Williams recommended me for a scholarship. I was so excited. Roosevelt Academy was the best music school in the state. I thought I was on my way to my dreams. Maria was quiet for a moment, lost in her memories. She could still remember her first day at Roosevelt Academy. She had been 17 years old, wearing her best dress and carrying her music in a new bag. She had felt like the luckiest girl in the world. "I remember you at Roosevelt Academy," Dr. Chen said. "You were shy, but your playing was incredible. The other students were jealous of your talent." "I loved it there," Maria said. "Every day was like a gift. I learned new pieces, studied music theory, and played with other talented students. You were my favorite teacher, Dr. Chen. You pushed me to be better than I thought I could be." "You were one of my best students," Dr. Chen replied. "I still remember your audition for Juilliard. You played Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2. It was perfect." Maria's eyes filled with tears. "That was the happiest day of my life. When I finished playing, the judges stood up and clapped. One of them said I was exactly what they were looking for at Juilliard." "So what happened?" Dr. Chen asked gently. "Why did you not go?" Maria was quiet for a long time. This was the hardest part of the story to tell. Even after all these years, it still hurt to remember. 2 weeks before I was supposed to start at Juilliard, my mother got sick, Maria said finally. The doctor said she had cancer. It was already very advanced. Dr. Chen reached across the desk and touched Maria's hand. The treatment was expensive. Maria continued. "We had no insurance. I had to choose between Juilliard and taking care of my mother. There was no choice, really. My mother had given up everything for my music. Now it was my turn to give up everything for her." "Oh, Maria," Dr. Chen said softly. "I got a job as a waitress to pay for her medicine. I told Professor Williams and everyone at Roosevelt Academy that I was just taking a year off. I thought maybe I could go to Juilliard the next year." Maria wiped her eyes. "But my mother got worse. She needed me every day. Then she died and I found out I was pregnant. Carlos's father left when he heard the news. I was 19 years old, alone with no money and a baby coming." "You were so young," Dr. Chen said. "I had to survive," Maria said. "I could not think about music anymore. I just had to take care of my baby and pay the bills." Years went by. Carlos was born with problems that made it hard for him to walk. The doctors were expensive. I took any job I could find. Maria looked out the window again. "I never forgot the music, though. Sometimes at night when Carlos was sleeping, I would close my eyes and play piano in my mind. I would remember all the pieces I used to know." "And now you are here," Dr. Chen said. "Now I am here," Maria agreed. "Cleaning the same kind of school where I used to study. Watching other young people live the dreams I had to give up." The two women sat in comfortable silence for a while. Outside, a student was practicing violin in one of the classrooms. The music floated through the window, beautiful and hopeful. "You know," Dr. Chen said finally, "your story is not over yet." Maria looked at her with surprise. "What do you mean?" Dr. Chen smiled. "I mean that yesterday you reminded everyone that you are still a musician. Your talent is still there. Maybe it is time to think about what comes next." "I am 42 years old," Maria said. "I have not performed in 20 years. I am just a cleaning lady now." "You are Maria Santos Delacroix," Dr. Chen said firmly. "You are one of the most talented pianists I have ever known. And yesterday, you proved that some things never die." Maria walked home from her meeting with Dr. Chen, feeling confused and excited at the same time. Her head was spinning with everything that had happened. 2 days ago, she was invisible. Now people were calling her a hidden genius. When she opened the door to her small apartment, Carlos was sitting at the kitchen table doing homework. He looked up and smiled. Carlos was 15 years old and very smart. His leg braces were leaning against his chair. Even though walking was hard for him, Carlos never complained. "Hi, Mama," he said. "You look different today." Maria sat down across from him. "Different how?" "I do not know. Like something good happened." Carlos closed his math book and looked at his mother carefully. "You have been strange since Tuesday night. Did something happen at work?" Maria had not told Carlos about what happened at the gala. She did not know how to explain it. How could she tell him that she had hidden her musical past for his whole life? "Carlos," she said slowly, "there is something I need to tell you about myself. About who I was before you were born." Carlos looked interested. His mother never talked about the past. "What is it?" Before Maria could answer, the phone rang. They almost never got phone calls. Maria answered it nervously. "Hello, is this Maria Santos?" The voice was professional and excited. "Yes, this is Maria." "Miss Santos, my name is James Mitchell. I am a talent agent from New York City. I saw a video of you playing piano at Whitmore Academy. I would like to talk to you about your future. Maria felt dizzy. I am sorry, what? Someone posted a video of your performance on the internet. It has been watched by millions of people already. Everyone wants to know who you are. Carlos was watching his mother with wide eyes. Maria sat down heavily in her chair. I represent many classical musicians, the man continued. I think I can help you restart your career. Are you available to meet this week? I do not understand, Maria said. I am not looking for a career. I just clean floors. James Mitchell laughed. Ms. Santos, after what I heard in that video, you will never have to clean floors again. Can I call you back tomorrow? We have a lot to discuss. After Maria hung up, Carlos rolled his wheelchair closer to her. Mama, what was that about? What video? Maria's hands were shaking. I do not know. I think someone recorded me playing piano. You play piano? Carlos looked shocked. Since when do you play piano? Before Maria could answer, the phone rang again. This time it was a reporter from the local newspaper. Then a music teacher from another school called. Then someone from a record company. Each phone call was the same. People had seen the video. They wanted to interview Maria. They wanted to offer her jobs. They wanted to know her story. By evening, Maria's phone had rung 15 times. Carlos sat quietly listening to each call, learning about his mother's secret past. When the last caller hung up, he rolled his chair close to Maria. Mama, he said quietly, why did you never tell me you were a famous piano player? Maria felt tears in her eyes. I was not famous, Carlos. I was just a student with big dreams. But you could have been famous, Carlos said. What happened to your dreams? Maria looked at her son, this brave boy who had given her purpose for 15 years. My dreams changed, she said. When you were born, you became my dream. Carlos was quiet for a moment. But you gave up music for me? I did not give it up, Maria said. I put it away for a while. You needed me more than music did. That is not fair, Carlos said, his voice getting louder. You should not have given up everything for me. Carlos, listen to me, Maria said firmly. Every choice I made was because I love you. I do not regret any of it, but Carlos was upset. All my life I thought you were just a cleaning lady. Now I find out you could have been playing in concert halls? Mama, you sacrificed your whole life for me. Maria reached out and took Carlos's hands. You are not a sacrifice. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. The next morning, Dr. Chen called. Maria, have you seen the internet today? No, I do not use computers much. You need to come to the school. There are reporters outside asking questions about you. The video of you playing has been shared millions of times. Maria felt scared. What video? Who made a video? Someone at the gala recorded you playing. It is everywhere now. People are calling you the hidden genius of music. The story is spreading around the world. When Maria arrived at Whitmore Academy, there were news trucks parked outside. Reporters with cameras were waiting by the front door. Maria tried to sneak in through the back entrance, but they saw her. Ms. Santos, Ms. Santos, they called. Can you tell us about your story? Maria ran inside the building and found Dr. Chen's office. Her friend was waiting with a laptop computer open on her desk. Look, Dr. Chen said, turning the screen toward Maria. On the computer was a video titled, Cleaning Lady Shocks Rich People with Amazing Piano Skills. Maria watched herself sitting at the piano, looking scared and small. Then she heard the first notes of the Chopin piece. Even watching it on the computer, Maria could feel the power of the music. She remembered how it felt to let go of her fear and just play. It has 8 million views, Dr. Chen said. People are sharing it everywhere. Look at some of the comments. Maria read the words on the screen. Beautiful and heartbreaking. This made me cry. Who is this woman? What is her story? There are interview requests from television shows, Dr. Chen continued. Music schools want to offer you scholarships. Concert halls want to book you for performances. Maria felt overwhelmed. I do not want to be famous. I just want to take care of Carlos and live quietly. But Maria, Dr. Chen said gently, this is your chance. You can have the career you always dreamed of. I am 42 years old, Maria repeated. It is too late for dreams. Dr. Chen closed the laptop and looked at Maria seriously. Yesterday I made some phone calls to old friends in the music world. Do you want to know what they told me? Maria nodded. They said the music industry is always looking for real stories. People are tired of young musicians who have never struggled. They want to hear from someone who has lived life and understands pain. What are you saying? I am saying that being 42 and having a difficult past might be exactly what makes you special now. Maria thought about Carlos and his angry words the night before. She thought about all the years she had spent cleaning other people's messes instead of making her own music. Even if I wanted to try, Maria said, I could not leave Carlos. He needs me. Who says you have to leave him? Dr. Chen asked. Maybe there is a way to have both. Music and family. Just then, Maria's phone rang. It was Carlos. Mama, he said, I have been thinking about what you told me. I want you to know something. What is it? I am proud of you for giving up your dreams for me, but I would be even more proud if you found a way to get them back. Maria felt tears coming to her eyes again. Carlos, Mama, I'm 15 years old. I'm not a baby anymore. Maybe it is time for both of us to be brave. The offers kept coming every day. Maria felt like she was living in someone else's life. Record companies wanted to sign her. Concert halls wanted to book her for performances. Television shows wanted to interview her. The most amazing offer came from Carnegie Hall in New York City. They wanted Maria to perform a special concert called Second Chances. It would be broadcast on television and streamed online around the world. This is the most important concert hall in America, Dr. Chen explained to Maria. Musicians dream their whole lives about playing there. Maria held the official letter in her hands. The paper was thick and expensive. At the top was a picture of the famous Carnegie Hall building. They want to pay me $50,000 for one concert, she said in disbelief. That is just the beginning, Dr. Chen said. After Carnegie Hall, you could perform anywhere in the world. You could make enough money to never worry about bills again. But Maria was not thinking about money. She was thinking about Carlos. How could she travel to New York? How could she leave him alone? That evening, Maria sat with Carlos in their small living room. She had been honest with him about all the offers. They had spent hours talking about what it could mean for their family. Mama, Carlos said, I have been doing research on the internet. Carlos was good with computers. He knew how to find information about anything. What kind of research? I looked up other musicians who started late careers. There was a woman in Japan who became famous at 50, a man in Germany who had his first concert at 60. Maria smiled. Carlos always tried to help her solve problems. I also looked up Carnegie Hall, Carlos continued. Do you know that some of the greatest musicians in history played there? Beethoven's music was performed there. Jazz legends like Duke Ellington played there. It is very special, Maria agreed. Mama, if you play at Carnegie Hall, you will be part of music history. Maria felt scared and excited at the same time. But what about you? I cannot leave you alone. Carlos was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that surprised Maria. What if I came with you? To New York? Carlos, that is impossible. The travel, the hotels, your medical appointments. Mama, I have been thinking about this for days. My whole life I have watched you take care of me. You work hard jobs to pay for my medicine. You never do anything for yourself. Carlos moved his wheelchair closer to Maria. Maybe it is time for me to take care of you for once. Maria felt tears in her eyes. You are still my baby, Carlos. I am supposed to take care of you. I am 15 years old, Carlos said firmly. I can help you make decisions. I can travel with you. I can be your manager and your son at the same time. The next day, Dr. Chen had an idea. What if you did not have to choose between music and Carlos? She said. What if there was a way to do both? What do you mean? I have been talking to the director of Whitmore Academy. We want to offer you a job. Maria was confused. You want me to keep cleaning? Dr. Chen laughed. No, Maria, we want you to teach. Teach what? Piano, music theory. We want you to start a special program for students who cannot afford private lessons. Maria's heart jumped. You want me to be a teacher? Think about it, Dr. Chen said. You could perform concerts on weekends and holidays. During the week, you could teach here. Carlos could even take classes here when he finishes high school. The idea was exciting but scary. I have never taught before. You learned music from your mother who learned by watching. You understand how to teach people who do not come from rich families. These students need someone who understands their struggles. That night, Maria could not sleep. She kept thinking about all the possibilities. She could perform at Carnegie Hall. She could teach music to kids like she used to be. She could show Carlos that dreams do not have to die. They just sometimes change shape. But there was one more thing Maria needed to do before she could make her decision. The next evening, Maria took Carlos to the cemetery where her mother was buried. They had not been there in over a year. It was hard for Carlos to get around the cemetery with his wheelchair, but he never complained. Maria knelt down beside her mother's grave and brushed away some leaves. "Mama," she said quietly, "I need your advice." Carlos watched his mother talk to the gravestone. He understood that sometimes people needed to talk to the ones they loved who were gone. "I have a chance to go back to music," Maria continued, "but I am scared. What if I am not good enough anymore? What if I have been away too long?" The wind blew gently through the trees. Maria closed her eyes and tried to remember her mother's voice. "You taught me that music is not about being perfect," Maria said. "You taught me that music is about telling the truth with your heart." Carlos reached out and touched his mother's shoulder. "What would Grandma Rosa tell you to do?" Maria thought about her mother working as a maid, listening to piano lessons and learning songs by heart. She thought about her mother's courage in teaching Maria to play. She thought about all the sacrifices her mother had made. "She would tell me to be brave," Maria said finally. "She would tell me that it is never too late to chase your dreams." When they got home, Maria called Dr. Chen. "I want to accept your offer," she said. "I want to teach at Whitmore Academy." "And Carnegie Hall?" Maria took a deep breath. "I want to do that too. Carlos and I are going to New York." The next morning, Maria called the director of Carnegie Hall. "I accept your offer," she said. "But I have one condition." "What is that, Ms. Santos?" "I want to dedicate the concert to my mother, Rosa Santos, and to all the mothers who sacrifice their dreams so their children can have better lives." "That sounds perfect," the director said. "We will put that in all the advertising." After Maria hung up, Carlos smiled at her. "Are you ready to be famous, Mama?" Maria hugged her son. "I am ready to be myself again." But even as Maria felt excited about the future, she was nervous too. She had not performed in front of a large audience in 20 years. What if she made mistakes? What if people expected too much from her? Dr. Chen helped Maria understand that her nervousness was normal. "Every musician gets scared before big performances," she said. "The fear means you care about doing well. What if I disappoint everyone?" "Maria, you have already inspired millions of people just by being brave enough to play that night at the gala. Whatever happens at Carnegie Hall, you have already succeeded." Maria began practicing every day at Whitmore Academy. Dr. Chen helped her choose pieces for the concert. They decided on a program that told Maria's story through music. She would start with simple pieces her mother had taught her. Then she would play the Chopin ballade that had made her famous. Finally, she would end with a piece she had written herself about hope and second chances. "You wrote your own music?" Dr. Chen asked when Maria played the new piece. "I've been writing songs in my head for 20 years, Maria said. "I just never had a chance to play them for anyone." As the date for the Carnegie Hall concert got closer, Maria felt more confident. She was not the same frightened girl who had given up her dreams 20 years ago. She was a woman who had lived through hard times and learned what really mattered. Most importantly, she was not doing this alone. Carlos was with her, supporting her dreams the same way she had always supported his. Together, they were going to show the world that it is never too late for a new beginning. 3 weeks before the Carnegie Hall concert, Maria felt ready. She had been practicing every day for 2 months. Her fingers were strong and sure. The music flowed from her heart to her hands like it always had, but then something unexpected happened that made Maria question everything. Carlos came home from school looking upset. He sat quietly at the kitchen table, not doing his homework like usual. "What is wrong?" Maria asked. "Some kids at school saw the video of you playing piano," Carlos said. "They have been asking me questions." "What kind of questions?" Carlos was quiet for a moment. "They want to know if we are rich now. They think, because you are going to be famous, we will move to a big house and I will go to a different school." Maria sat down next to her son. "What did you tell them?" "I told them I do not know what will happen." Carlos looked at his mother with worried eyes. "Mama, what will happen? Will everything change?" Maria realized she had been so focused on the music that she had not thought carefully about what fame might mean for their family. That night, after Carlos went to bed, Maria called Dr. Chen. "I am having second thoughts," Maria said. "About what?" "About all of this. The concert, the teaching job, everything. Maybe I should just go back to cleaning and keep our life simple. Dr. Chen was quiet for a moment. Maria, what is really bothering you? I am scared that if I become famous, Carlos and I will lose what we have. We are happy now. We have a quiet life. What if fame ruins everything? Fame does not have to change who you are, Dr. Chen said gently. You get to decide how to live your life. The next day, Maria had an important meeting with James Mitchell, the talent agent from New York. He flew to her city to discuss Maria's future. They met at a fancy restaurant downtown. James was a well-dressed man who talked fast and used big words. He spread papers across the table showing contracts and performance schedules. Maria, you could be the biggest classical music story of the decade, he said excitedly. I have planned a world tour for you. After Carnegie Hall, you could perform in London, Paris, Tokyo. We could make you millions of dollars. Maria looked at all the papers. The schedule showed concerts every week for the next 2 years. She would have to travel constantly. What about my son? Maria asked. We can arrange tutors for him. He can travel with you or stay in the best boarding schools. Boarding schools? Maria felt her heart sink. I do not want to send Carlos away. James looked confused. But think about the opportunities. You could give him the best education money can buy. He already has what he needs, Maria said firmly. He has his mother. That evening, Maria talked to Carlos about the meeting. A world tour sounds exciting, Carlos said, but Maria could tell he was worried. It would mean traveling all the time, Maria explained. Living in hotels, being away from home for months. Carlos was quiet. Then he said, Mama, do you want to do the world tour? Maria thought carefully before answering. I want to play music, but I do not want to lose my family life. Then do not do it, Carlos said simply. But it is a lot of money. It could pay for your college and your medical bills forever. Carlos moved his wheelchair closer to Maria. Mama, we have enough money if you teach at Whitmore Academy. We do not need millions of dollars. We just need each other. The next morning, Maria called James Mitchell. I have decided not to do the world tour, she said. James was shocked. Maria, this is the chance of a lifetime. You will never get another opportunity like this. Maybe not, Maria agreed. But I have learned that some things are more important than opportunities. Like what? Like being home for dinner with my son. Like teaching music to kids who need it. Like having a life that feels real instead of a life that just looks impressive. After Maria hung up, she felt relieved. She had made the right choice for her family, but she still wanted to do the Carnegie Hall concert. That felt different. It was one special night to honor her mother and show the world that dreams can survive anything. Dr. Chen was proud of Maria's decision. You are choosing your own path, she said. That takes courage. Will people think I am crazy for turning down so much money? Some people will not understand, Dr. Chen admitted. But the people who matter will respect your choice. As the Carnegie Hall concert got closer, reporters kept calling Maria. They wanted to know about her plans after the concert. I will teach piano at Whitmore Academy, Maria told them. I will help students who cannot afford expensive lessons. But what about your career? They asked. Do not you want to be a famous performer? I want to be a good mother and a good teacher, Maria said. If that makes me famous, fine. But fame is not my goal. 1 week before the concert, Maria and Carlos traveled to New York City. It was Carlos's first time on an airplane and his first time in such a big city. When they saw Carnegie Hall, Carlos was amazed. Mama, it is so beautiful, he said, looking up at the famous building. Tomorrow night I will play music there, Maria said, still hardly believing it herself. Are you nervous? Very nervous, Maria admitted, but also excited. That night in their hotel room, Maria practiced on a small keyboard they had brought with them. Carlos listened and smiled. You sound perfect, Mama. I hope so. I want to make everyone proud. My mother, you, Dr. Chen, all the people who believed in me. You already make me proud, Carlos said. Even if you never played another note, I would still be proud to be your son. The next evening, Maria stood backstage at Carnegie Hall. She could hear the audience talking in their seats. 2,000 people had come to hear her play. Dr. Chen was there to support her. How do you feel? She asked. Like I am exactly where I am supposed to be, Maria said. Carlos gave his mother a hug before she went on stage. Remember, Mama, this is not about being perfect. This is about telling your story. Maria walked onto the stage and sat at the beautiful grand piano. The audience grew quiet. She looked out at all the faces watching her. She thought about her mother, who had learned music by listening through doors. She thought about all the years she had cleaned floors and hidden her talent. She thought about Carlos and his brave heart. Then Maria placed her hands on the keys and began to play. The first song was a simple lullaby her mother had taught her when she was 5 years old. As the music filled Carnegie Hall, Maria felt complete. She was not just a cleaning lady anymore. She was not trying to be a world-famous star either. She was Maria Santos Delacroix, mother, teacher, and musician. She was exactly who she was meant to be. 6 months after the Carnegie Hall concert, Maria walked into her new office at Whitmore Academy. The nameplate on the door read, Professor Maria Santos Delacroix, piano instructor. She still felt proud every time she saw it. The concert had been a huge success. The video was watched by 50 million people around the world. Music critics called it breathtaking and deeply moving. But for Maria, the most important moment was when she saw Carlos in the front row, clapping and crying with joy. Now Maria had a different kind of life. She taught piano classes 3 days a week and gave private lessons to scholarship students. The rest of her time was her own, to spend with Carlos and practice her music. Her first student was a 12-year-old girl named Sophia. Sophia's family had moved to America from Mexico, just like Maria's family had many years ago. Sophia's mother worked as a housekeeper and could not afford piano lessons. I want to learn to play like you, Sophia told Maria on her first day. Then we will work very hard together, Maria said with a smile. Sophia reminded Maria of herself at that age. She had the same hungry look in her eyes, the same desperate love for music. Maria saw her own story beginning again in this young girl. The most important thing, Maria told Sophia, is to never give up. Even if life gets hard, even if you have to stop playing for a while, the music will always be inside you. Maria had 15 scholarship students now. They came from poor families, just like she had. Some of them worked jobs after school to help their parents pay bills. Others had to take care of younger brothers and sisters. But they all had one thing in common. They loved music more than anything. Maria's program was getting attention from other schools. Music teachers from around the country called to ask how she did it. How did she find these talented kids from poor families? How did she help them succeed? You have to look in places where other people do not look, Maria told them. Talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not. My job is to create opportunities. Carlos was doing well too. He was now 16 and had started taking college classes online. He wanted to study business so he could help his mother manage her teaching program. I want to help other families like ours, Carlos told Maria. I want to make sure that money never stops someone from learning music. Harold, the man who had forced Maria to play at the gala, came to see her one day. He looked embarrassed and nervous. I owe you an apology, he said. What I did that night was cruel and wrong. Maria was gracious. Thank you for saying that. I have been thinking about that night ever since, Harold continued. I realize that I have been looking down on people my whole life without really seeing them. Harold reached into his pocket and pulled out a check. I want to donate money to your scholarship program. It is not enough to make up for what I did, but it is a start. The check was for $50,000. Maria was shocked. This is very generous. You taught me something important that night, Harold said. You taught me that every person has value, whether I see it or not. Maria used Harold's donation to buy instruments for her students. She also started a program to give free concerts in community centers and churches. She wanted to bring classical music to neighborhoods where people had never had a chance to hear it. One evening, Maria was practicing in the concert hall when Dr. Chen came in. How does it feel? Dr. Chen asked. Being back where you belong? It feels like I never left, Maria said. The music was always there, waiting for me to come back to it. Do you ever regret turning down the world tour? Maria thought about the question. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened. But then I look at my students and I know I made the right choice. Your students are lucky to have you. I am lucky to have them too. They remind me why I fell in love with music in the first place. Maria had started performing again, but on her own terms. She gave concerts once a month at small venues around the city. She played in churches, community centers, and nursing homes. She brought music to people who could not afford to go to fancy concert halls. These concerts were different from Carnegie Hall. The audiences were smaller and less formal, but Maria loved them more. She could see how her music touched people's lives. She could talk to her audience and tell them stories about the song she played. One of her regular audience members was an elderly woman named Mrs. Johnson. Mrs. Johnson had been a pianist when she was young, but she had given up music to raise her children. "Listening to you play reminds me of who I used to be," Mrs. Johnson told Maria after one concert. "Who you used to be is still inside you," Maria replied. It is never too late to find her again. Mrs. Johnson started taking piano lessons from Maria. At 75 years old, she was learning to play again. "My grandchildren think I am crazy," she laughed. "But I do not care. This makes me happy." Maria's story had inspired people all over the world. She received letters from other mothers who had given up their dreams. She heard from janitors and housekeepers who had hidden talents. She heard from people who thought it was too late to change their lives. "You showed us that dreams do not have an expiration date," one woman wrote. Carlos graduated from high school early and started working with his mother full-time. He helped her organize concerts and manage the scholarship program. He also started learning to play piano himself. "I want to understand your world better," he told Maria as he struggled with his first scales. Watching Carlos learn music was one of Maria's greatest joys. He was not as naturally talented as she had been, but he worked hard and improved every day. One evening, as they were closing up the academy, Carlos asked his mother a question. "Do you think Grandma Rosa would be proud of us?" Maria looked around the concert hall where she now taught. She thought about all the students whose lives were changing because of music. She thought about the second chance she had been given and the life she had built. "I think she would be amazed," Maria said. "She planted a seed when she taught me to play piano. Now look how big the tree has grown." As they walked home together, Maria felt grateful for the winding path her life had taken. She had lost her dreams once, but finding them again had made them more precious. She had learned that happiness was not about fame or money. It was about using your gifts to help others and staying close to the people you love. The next morning, Maria would wake up and go to work as Professor Santos Delacroix. She would teach young people to believe in themselves and their dreams. She would show them that talent combined with hard work could overcome any obstacle. But tonight she was just Maria, walking home with her son, humming a song her mother had taught her long ago. The music would always be with her now, no longer hidden but shared with the world. And in sharing her gift, Maria had discovered that the most beautiful music comes not from perfect performances in grand concert halls, but from the simple act of helping others find their own voices. Her symphony was just beginning.